$20,000 more, yeah?
Hi, Diana. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay.
Steve's talking to you on the other.
Oh, Chris is, yeah, Chris went outside because it was, okay. And then I'm gonna, if I wanna hit share my screen, can you see my screen? Let me just try, okay?
Are you're under Chris Webster?
Yeah, we're on Chris's computer.
Okay, so I've made you a co-host. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay, I'm gonna just try here, okay?
Okay, great.
Let's see if you can see it, our presentation.
I started the meeting, Steve. Yes, the screen share is working.
Okay, all right, I'll stop share for now. Or should we just leave it like this, or leave it like this for now, or?
That's probably good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it here like this. So just that now, I guess the video is much smaller, yeah, once we're in screen mode here, so that's fine. I'm gonna just click here like this. So let me just.
I must still be muted. Oh, there it is.
Hey, hi, Richard. Now you just muted yourself again. Now you're on mute. You're on mute, Richard. You're still on mute, Richard.
About now.
Now,
Am I on mute now?
no, I can hear you now.
Okay, thanks for setting it up, Diana and Mitsubishi. Is that Chris Webster of Mitsubishi?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
How you guys doing? I'm Chris.
And Kelly.
Hi.
So we've
I'm
worked
early
on
for a change.
a presentation for you guys to help everyone understand hopefully a little bit more about elevators today.
Do we have anybody else?
Yeah, so I think let's wait a couple more minutes to get started to allow a few more people. Looks like we've got Crystal Schmidt, one board member. I know Richard Fairclough owns
426.
D426. There's Chris Webster and Kellie Dumlao. And 641188, I'm not sure who you are. And,
Jocelyn Young. Jocelyn Young, C407.
oh, hi, Jocelyn.
Hi.
And then Pua K. I'm afraid I don't know you either. That's my alarm saying that this meeting is starting.
Hi, Pua. I own a 217.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for coming. I'm sorry, Steve Johnson's also here with me. Hi, guys. Steve's on the board. And he owns a 408. And I'm in a 426. I'm also on the board. So the way this is going to work is it will be recorded because there were some folks who had to work and couldn't be here. So I'm basically going to be the sort of tech moderator here. Chris and Kelly are from Mitsubishi are going to do all of the talking, I hope. And if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. If the group stays small, we can ask questions, kind of real time and just basically interrupt Chris to clarify something. If the group gets a lot larger, then we're going to have to do it in a kind of more orderly fashion, in which case what we'll do is either put your question in the chat, or you can, at the end, we'll have a Q&A thing. And in that case, if you can raise your hand, that's under the More tab on
Am I the only one that sees her frozen? Uh-oh. Diana, you frozen us.
I saw frozen and then I seem to have lost it, and I don't know. Looks like I'm talking now. I see Chris is frozen, and I see Pua's photo occasionally. I don't see anything for Diana.
Yeah, no, I'm back.
This is Richard.
I've got my internet's been a little weird, so what I'm going to do is I'll use my hotspot. You know what, maybe I'll just wait and see if it does that again. If it does that again, I'll switch to the hotspot, but I do have the hotspot on at this point. Okay, well, so it's 1:02. And we've got 7 people. Is there anybody new that we need to greet? Okay. We are recording. Let me just double check that. And so, okay, there it is. Yeah, let's get started.
All right, sounds good. All right, my name is Chris Webster, and this is Kellie Dumlao. We're both with Mitsubishi Elevator, and we're basically going to do a presentation on your guys' elevators today. And we encourage you guys to ask questions because we're here to educate you about your guys' elevators and show you the condition that they're in. And the more questions, there's no stupid question because elevators are very complex. So the more we can help you guys to understand, the better off I think it is for everybody. So I do highly encourage questions. So we're going to start with our presentation, and the way we put it together is basically 3 phases. What our initial proposal was, what after we surveyed your guys' site and came to your guys' property, what we found. So there's a second proposal, and then at the end you'll see stuff that's going on with all your elevators that needs to be addressed. So we'll start the presentation right here. Reasons to modernize an elevator. Number 1, basically it improves passenger safety. Your guys' equipment was built in the 70s, far lived past its life of expectancy for an elevator. It improves elevator efficiency and reliability. Nobody likes having their elevators down. It's not fun for anybody. And it's long-term cost savings. Right now, your guys' controllers are old, which means all the parts in there are obsolete. Not all the parts, but a lot of the components are obsolete where you can't go to the original manufacturer and say, hey, I'd like to buy a new board. It's basically, we have to take the board out, send it to a specialist, and they have to rebuild it because they're not selling boards for it anymore. All right, well, next slide. This is our original scope of work. So when we got invited to bid this, we didn't get to do a job walk. We were basically handed your previous service provider, ThyssenKrupp. We were handed their proposal, and it was basically an apples to apples bid. And this was what was in it, is cab interior walls. These are the interior walls that just mounts to the shell. This is purely cosmetic. Cab handrail, that's for you to, for a handicapped person or for anybody to hold on to inside the elevator as the elevator is moving. The cab ceiling, the car operation panel, it's called a COP. What that is when you get inside the elevator and you see all the buttons right there, first floor, second floor, third floor, that's called a COP. Door operator. The door operator is what's on top of the elevator, and it opens and closes the doors. Door restrictor and clutch. That is what allows the door to open and not to open. It's a locking mechanism, basically. Car door hardware. This would be all your rollers, your door gibs, anything related to the actual elevator car door. And then your hall push button fixtures. This is at each floor where you push the buttons and the elevator comes. So this was our basic apples to apples on ThyssenKrupp, and then you can see the cost at the top right there. All right, so we'll show you some pictures so you guys understand what it looks like. We show them with the mouse, the cab interior, the panels. You see the panels, you see how they're all deteriorated at the bottom, and you'll see two holes, one hole there and one hole there. That's where your handrail is supposed to be. It's an ADA code requirement, so handicapped people can have something to hold on to. So we're replacing that in our original bid. This is your drop ceiling. As you can see, it's damaged. We were placing that in your original bid. This is the COP that I was talking about. So in the original bid, we're replacing this. And all your COPs, the lights on the buttons aren't working. So when you go to push, say, the fourth floor, and the light doesn't light up, nobody knows that the elevator has acknowledged that you're going to the fourth floor. So that leads to people punching buttons. Hey, why isn't the elevator taking my call? Which leads to excessive damage. You can see the fireman's hat right here. That's damage. What that does is basically, if there is a fire inside the elevator machine room, that would flash. That way, if the firefighter gets in it, if there's ever a fire in your building, it tells the firefighter, hey buddy, you might want to think twice about using this elevator because the fire is actually in the elevator machine room and you could get stuck in this elevator. As you can see, that's completely wasted. This right here is called a position indicator, and it's inside the elevator on the COP, and that tells you which floor you're at, basically, while you're riding the elevator, first, second, third, or fourth floor. This is an ADA requirement. If you're stuck in the elevator and the fire department or the elevator comes, you can be able to tell them and communicate with them, hey, I'm stuck on the third floor. As you can see, that's damaged and broken. All right, and the red box right there, that's the door operator that I talked about. And as you can see, it's badly rusted. The components in there are far past their life expectancy. And that's what open and closes your elevator doors. As the elevator comes to each floor, that'll open and close. All right, this is your car door restrictor. And these are missing on almost every one of your elevators. What this does is it restricts the opening of the door. By code, the elevator, if you're 18 inches above the floor or 18 inches below the floor to floor level, you're allowed to, it'll release the elevator door where you can open it to get out. But the reason you have those is if you're 4 feet above the floor, it will not allow you to open the door. And you want that there for safety reasons, because at 4 feet, you don't want someone pulling the door open and falling out of the elevator or falling down the hoistway. So that's a code requirement. Those are missing on almost every one of your elevators. These are just pictures of the rusted fixtures that we're replacing. All right, so this is all the stuff that we got to discover. Because as we said, we just gave an original apples to apples bid. We got a piece of paper. This is what the competitor says needs to be upgraded. We came out and did a survey, and we're going to show you pictures of everything that you see on here just about, and give you a reason and explain to you why it needs to be upgraded. Because what we're trying to do is, in the end, is save you guys money so we're not doing double work. Like if you have new cab interiors on a cab shell that's completely wasted and the cab shell blows out in 3 years, then guess what? All that money you spent on cab interiors, you're gonna have to do it again in 3 years. So we don't want you guys spending your money twice, and we'll run through some of these pictures and kind of explain ourselves. All right, so this is in the corner. Basically the cab shell is a square box. And these are the corners right there. And this is probably your best elevator. You can see the rust right there that's taking place. All right, so we know when metal rust, it rips apart. So we're gonna start with the best picture. All right, now this is 2 walls that are connected. And as you can see in the top left picture, that's a Q-tip stuck in there. Right? And you can see that the walls are slowly starting to pull away from each other because the rust is so bad that the wall is actually deteriorating. If the walls are pulling apart on your cab, the last thing we want to do is install new interior on it, because this is going to fail on you. And you'll see in the next picture, it's even worse. That is a 1-inch gap right there between your elevator walls. And that's a huge safety concern for us, because a child could stick his hand in there. And if he sticks his hand in here, the elevator is going to run up and down, and basically whatever you stick in there is going to get lost. And another safety concern is, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's just a matter of when it's going to happen. Somebody leaning on that wall, as you can see, it's completely rusted out. It's going to fail, and it's going to eventually give out. And if there happens to be a passenger or someone's leaning on it and that does fail and they're inside the elevator doesn't know that the cab shell just ripped apart. It's going to keep moving, and it's going to crush what is ever inside there. If there's anything or anybody inside there, it's just going to crush like a stepping on a tin can. It's going to be a catastrophic failure. So that's a big concern to us. And the last thing we want to do is, you can see with the mouse right there, that's the old interior, right? That's just the cosmetics to make it look pretty. But you don't want to put new interior on a cab shell that's that deteriorated. All right. So the COP, the box we talked about where you push all the buttons, this is the inside of the COP, what it connects to. And as you can see, that is ripping off the actual cab shell right there. So that's a good 1-inch gap right there. And sooner or later, that's going to rust out and that's going to fall off. And all the wires that go to the elevator for you to push the button to go to you want to go to are in here. So when this rips off and fails, this will be another catastrophic failure. And as you can clearly see, it's going to fail. It's just a matter of time. So there's no reason, in our opinion, to put a new COP on something that's about to rip off in 3 years. We're just trying to not have you guys spend your money 2 or 3 times. All right, this is something else we discovered on our survey. The floors are damaged, and this is another safety hazard. It's a tripping hazard is what it is. And if after we upgrade your guys' elevators, we have to test with the state of Hawaii. If this is not addressed, the state of Hawaii is likely going to red tag your elevators, because you're not allowed to have a tripping hazard like that. It's a safety issue. And you spend this money to do this work for the state to say, no, you can't turn the elevator over because it's not safe, and have your elevator shut down. Underneath that floor is called a subfloor, which is basically plywood, which is completely warped. And if you look inside your guys' elevators, you'll see that the floor kind of does a little wobble to it. So what needs to be addressed is the actual flooring needs to be ripped up, and the subfloor underneath it needs to be replaced. These are your guys' elevator controllers. So basically, this is the brains of your guys' elevator. Any button you push, whether it's in the hall or if it's inside the elevator, sends a signal back to this, and then it tells, hey, elevator, you just got a call to the 4th floor. Go pick that person up. Tells the doors to open, tells the doors to close. It's a gigantic computer. These are built in 1974, and I'm not have my math, but I want to say that's like 48 years old. So its life expectancy is you've reached it's had a good life. Let's put it that way. And these boards, you can show over here, the boards right up here. All those boards, obsolete. The manufacturer doesn't make those anymore. We would have to take those out and send those out to get rebuilt. When we got there, we found out that your previous service provider, they had the wrong size fuses installed, which is a problem, right? Everything is fused for the correct amperage, and that can cause damage to your guys' controller. So we replaced those as we started. Yeah. And another thing about this is, in our original bid, we just had the COP upgrade, right? So you're going to install a new COP, but now this COP that you're installing will only communicate with this controller, right? And say this controller fails in 3 years. Well, it's a different type of processor that you would upgrade your controller to. Now, 3 years later, if you decide to upgrade your controllers, now you got to replace the COP again so they can communicate. So that's another way that we don't want you guys to spend your money twice. All right, this is all your hall door hardware. Basically, these are, you guys have 4 floors. At each floor, you can see that the components are pretty much rusted out. They're 40-something-year-old components. And in my experience, about 80% of all elevator trouble calls come from door-related issues. That's because people are kicking doors, they're banging their shopping carts to stop the doors from opening or closing. And doors, they get used and abused, and that's a huge problem with trouble calls. So replacing that is in your very best interest. This is more of your guys' door components. Basically what this does is, this is called a pickup roller. And as the elevator comes to the floor, it's got a clutch on it. It grabs that wheel right there and it pushes to the right, and that goes up to the door lock, opens the door lock, and allows the elevator to open, or the elevator door to open. So these are all components that are rusted out, damaged, basically beyond repair. And we've added all this into our.
Could you repeat that, Chris? I didn't understand. I guess I didn't see your pointer to start with. So.
All right, so this is it's a pickup roller right here. So what this does is, this is on all 4 hall floors. Can you see my mouse?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so see how it's got 2 wheels right here? So when the elevator comes to the floor, it's got a clutch on it, and the clutch lines up right here. And when the car door opens, that's what, because you have a car door operator, it hits this wheel, that wheel goes to the right, and then this rod right here runs up. And if we go to the last slide, let me go back to the last slide. All right. Let me see the mouse.
Oh, okay.
You see the rod, right? Me and Kelly are trying to play turns with the mouse. You see the rod that was down below? That rod follows up right here, and this is your door lock right here. So that's how that component works. Inside here, there's an electrical contact that tells the controller this door is closed or open. That way the elevator can never run if the doors are open. So all these components are rusted out and gonna fail sooner or later.
Thanks, that was very good.
All right. Click again. All right.
Those components have failed many times in the last few years since I've been familiar with this. We have had so many trouble calls from these components already failing, and oftentimes ThyssenKrupp would replace these components, I guess, because they're also out of, obsolete, or at least it was hard for them to get. They were replacing these components with used components that they had saved from other places. So that this failure is already happening all the time.
As you can clearly see, there's nothing new replaced about this part. Nothing gets that much rust or that
Thank you,
much
Steve.
wear and tear. Oh,
Thank you, Richard.
all right. This is a car directional lantern, and this is an ADA requirement for handicapped people. Basically, what this does is for deaf people, you'll see the direction arrow right here. It tells you whether the elevator is going up or if it's going down. Say if you're at the second floor and you call for the elevator, you need to know which way it's going. If you're blind, it will gong once. You'll hear a gong once, and that means the elevator is going up. And if you hear a gong twice, that means the elevator is going down. So a blind person could say, all right, I need to go down. They hear 2 gongs, they know to get in the elevator. These are broken on all your cars in every building. So that's another code issue. So we have that in our modernization proposal. This is your lobby position indicator, right? That tells you where the elevator's at when you're standing in the lobby. And as you can see right here, it doesn't say 1, 2, 3, or 4. It says, I don't work no more. So we added that to the second proposal. All right, this is your emergency lighting. And 6 out of your guys' 8 elevators, this does not work. This is another code requirement. So say there's a power outage, you're riding the elevator. Now you're stuck in the elevator because the elevator doesn't have power. There's no emergency lighting. So you're stuck basically in a pitch black box. So you can't even see to call for help. You can't press the call for help button on the elevator. So this is another big ticket item, big issue that the state and for the people's safety that needs to be replaced. All right. Car roller guides, point and arrow. That's basically these 3 wheels right here that you see. Those ride up and down the rails. And what the rails, I like to explain to people, are they're kind of like train tracks. They go straight up and down the hoistway, and the elevator rides up and down with those wheels. That's what gives you a smooth ride versus a shaky ride. As you can see, everything on your car top is completely damaged. With this modernization, everything you see there's going to get replaced because you're getting a new shell, all new components that's on top of the elevator. Car top inspection station, new fan over here, everything on this car top, the whole actual shell of the elevator and everything on top of it, all its electronics and mechanicals will be all brand new. This is the traveling cable. Basically what this does is it's a wire, actually inside here, it's a jacket that's got about 35 wires inside of it. And it runs up to the COP, and each button there has about 4 wires to it. Runs up to the door operator, which has about 6 wires to it. You have leveling devices on the car top, they have wires to it. And it brings the wires back to the controller so they can communicate. So this would be all replaced. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far?
So I just wanted to be clear. So that second part of this presentation was the stuff that needs to be done that the original bidder, ThyssenKrupp, who was at the time doing our maintenance also, they left out.
Correct. This was never addressed. They threw a proposal at you guys of ways to make your elevator maybe look pretty, but everything that is thrown at you when your shell does fail is all going to have to be replaced. So the shell alone is a big ticket item because you're replacing the shell, and the cab shell, a brand new cab shell, is about $20,000. So that's one of the things that made our price go up. the new controller. That's another about $20,000. So this is where you're seeing the price difference in. But this will give you guys reliable elevators. You'll have basically brand new elevators, and it'll have a whole brand new lifespan to it.
And as I understand it, what you've been talking about so far was a little less than $130,000. Does that mean per elevator? I don't understand. Per one
Per
of 8 elevators?
Per elevator, yes, correct. We put in there a discount if you were to choose to do all 8 elevators, not at the same time, but if you do one, then move to the next. We gave that a discount, because if we do 2 and then we have to come back in a year, that's us having to ship tools over there, pay for shipping to get parts over there. If you do it simultaneously, there would be, it saves us, so it would save you guys. So that's not on this presentation.
And I hate to say, use the word need, but they certainly all could use it as soon as possible, right?
Need would be a good word. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What kind of discount, it's Jocelyn Young from C407, what kind of discount are we looking at? 128,000 per
The
elevator.
discount, so it would be per elevator. So you have price per due, 1 elevator, or do just the D building is 128,000. If you were to choose to do all 8 elevators consecutively, one at a time, it would take off $7,500 basically per elevator, for a total of $60,000.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead. Yeah, so Chris, can you clarify the cab that is included in your or the is that, no, what did you call it? The shell
The
that's
shell.
included in your bid. That was not included in the ThyssenKrupp bid, correct?
Correct. So I believe ThyssenKrupp gave you 2 different proposals. They gave you one for basically a cab upgrade and the COP and the door operator, and they gave you a full modernization proposal, right? This is a full modernization, but what ThyssenKrupp didn't do is come and do their research and tell you that all your guys' shells are bad. And they're going to go and do all this work. And I don't know what their total price was for their full modernization, but as you can all clearly see, those shells are going to fail. They're rusted out. So in 3 years after you spend all this money, guess what? You'd have to come back and spend all that money again when those shells fail.
So that makes your proposal that much cheaper as compared to the ThyssenKrupp proposal, and plus it makes the ThyssenKrupp proposal look really negligent in not including that. Yeah.
I would have to agree with you.
If with your permission, I've got I could share I took a screenshot of the 2 proposals next to each other. And if anybody wants to see the entire proposal for all of this, just email me. I will put my email in the so is this the correct one? Because we were talking about 128. Why is this 135?
That's the original, Diana. And then, so this is the original one.
135 was for 2.
Oh, I see. Oh, so this was your original one, and then the price, almost doubled because of all this extra work that needs to be done.
Correct.
Okay. And then ThyssenKrupp's.
Can you point out that so go to the other one
Down here?
Yeah. Now theirs is a little bit less this second time through, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, this is Mitsubishi. We were talking about 128.
Yeah.
That's right. So we submitted you another proposal after we walked the job and everything.
Uh-huh.
And so their full mod price came down just a little bit from that. But then so it was their full mod price was 128, right? Can we go to the ThyssenKrupp full mod price?
Yeah, I just need to move this. There we go. So here's the ThyssenKrupp one. And they wanted 150 per elevator.
And that was without the shell.
Yeah, without the new outside shell of the cab, and then also all that stuff that Chris talked about in the second part of the proposal.
Yeah. So Chris, do you have a rough estimate of how much all that extra stuff that these guys didn't include, that you guys did include, would be? What part of your price or their price would that be? Can we compare apples to apples on that?
Apples to apples. Well, they didn't replace they don't have replacing the shell in there. So
Yeah.
you could
So how much
basically just
that would
add
add a lot to it.
$20,000 right onto that price right there. So their price would be closer to $170,000. We included the shell in ours. One thing that we didn't include in ours that they put in yours was your guys' pump unit. And what the pump unit does is that's where it stores all the oil for your hydraulic elevator, and it's got a pump motor in there. And that item is about $3,500. We didn't include that in our price because you guys had those installed about 6 years ago. So we're not trying to replace something that's only 6 years old and like sell you a brand new one. It's 6 years old. It's going to last you a long time still. So I don't want to say that they didn't do their due diligence, but they're trying to sell you stuff you don't need versus what you actually need.
Thank you.
I mean, one concern I have is that if we're really comparing apples to apples, why are you guys able to do this job so much more efficiently and less expensively than ThyssenKrupp?
It's the way we bid it and the experience that we have. I'm the branch manager, but I'm also a certified elevator mechanic, and I worked in the field for somewhere about 18 years building elevators. So I know what it takes to build an elevator. And all the guys I work with, some of them were my previous mechanics that taught me how to build elevators. So I know how long it takes, and the labor's correct. I can make it a lot more and add a lot more profit to it if it makes you guys happy. So we're really apples to apples, but I'm trying to be fair here is what we're trying to be.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you. I remember them replacing those pumps. I thought we were pretty much doing good things back then, but I get what you're saying. And I appreciate that it's like having a tooth pulled when you don't need to.
Exactly. I mean, you guys just replaced them a few years ago. I don't know why they would put it in their full modernization price to replace it again.
Thank you.
All right, so this is some other stuff that would be included in the full modernization, that additional items that need to be addressed on all elevators. All right, so this is the most important for you guys probably. 7 out of 8 of your ADA phones are broken and not working. So that means if you go into 7 of 8 of your elevators, you get stuck in the elevator, you go to push the button for the phone to call for help, the phones don't work. That means you're stuck in the elevator until somebody hires you screaming, or if you have your cell phone on you. If the state, we're required to shut your elevators down, and we're not doing that because we understand your guys' circumstances of what you've gone through. But this is something that needs to be addressed sooner than later. This is all covered in the full modernization, but we just are trying to bring things to your attention that'll cost you money along the way, where you pay for it here and then you do a full modernization, you're paying for it again. So.
Right, but if we're only modernizing 2 elevators, we would only get the phones fixed on 2 elevators.
Correct.
To get the phone fixed on all of the elevators, we'd either have to contract that separately or agree to do the modernizations all sort of in a row.
You do all the elevators in a row, or we could give you a separate proposal to just change out the phones. Just for now, that way, at least if you're going to do anything, if you can't afford, and I understand money's tight. So if you can only afford 2, you can't afford 8. at least make it safe to where
But as
somebody's
regard-
gonna get stuck in the elevator, at least make it so they can call for help.
This is Richard. But to actually comply with ADA, that's not the only issue. It's not just the phone. You've already, if I recall, 3 or 4 other things that need to be replaced. So it doesn't, from a long-term or even a short-term financial look at it, it's better to do them all.
Correct. There you have, that's why you have on multiple elevators. This is not just 1 or 2 elevators. All your elevators are in the same condition, same age, but we're just showing you 7 out of 8 of your elevators, this is not working. And all your cabs are rusted out. This is just stuff that to make you aware about all your elevators.
You know, that space for little kids' hands and the rusted things about closing the doors, and it just all seems basic, and it's all of them. It's all ADA problem on several items. So thank you. So far you've done a great job of explaining it for me.
I appreciate that. Thank you. This is called a light curtain, is what we call it, or a photo eye. And this is in building A number 1. So what this does is, this is the device. There's one side that's connected to the cab shell, the other side's on the car door. So when you stick your hand between the door and the elevator is reopen, that's the device that does it. You see how it's missing the lens right there? That leaves all the electronics exposed. That's all hot, right? So you stick your hand on that, you're gonna get a nice little zap.
Wow.
So it's not just 1 or 2 elevators. Like, you have problems with all your elevators that need to be addressed. So we're just showing you more stuff that we found as we went through the place. All right, we'll go to the next slide. Building A 1 and 2, you can see the handrails are completely missing from there, and the floor is damaged there also. So it's not just D building, it's all your guys' elevators that are in pretty bad shape. Go to the next slide. And this is basically.
Hold on. Steve has a question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Chris, it's obvious that these things need to be replaced pretty much as quickly as possible. And I know it takes a long time to get started, to get everything going, but once you did get going, if we could contract with you to just do them consecutively, how long do you think it would take you to take care of all 8 elevators and all 4 buildings?
And all 4 buildings, so it would take us 6 months from the day, we'll just call it 6 months, to get material here on island and a crew over there mobilized and set up. And then it would be approximately 2 months per elevator going consecutively.
Okay, so we could have this done. It sounds to me like we could have this done in less than a year and a half.
14 months, yeah.
So 2 times 8, that's 16 months right there, plus another 6 months for material to get here.
Yeah, so 20 months, a little over a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sounds to me like we need to just start. We need to start making it so that we can pay for all this and get it done in that, say in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how urgent would you say this situation is?
27.
Ouch.
I agree with that. And how much money would you need up front, assuming we were going to do all 8 elevators consecutively like that?
It would basically be 25% down. And then once we got the material on island and over to you guys, that would be another 25%. And then the remaining 50% would be monthly progress billing that we would bill. So each elevator, it would be 50% that's left on each elevator. We would bill progress billing for the remainder of the job.
Okay, so basically you've got a lot of expense to set up, get parts landed, and that'd be the 25%. And then when you're ready to start, another 25%, and then progress billings based upon 8 elevators, dividing into the remaining number.
Correct.
So if Harbor Lights was to commit to doing all 8 elevators, you know, basically in a row, one after the other, the 25% that we're talking about would be 25% of the entire total. The
Yeah, it'd be-
128
Times 4 is about $1 million.
times,
I mean, 8
times 8
is about $1 million.
is $1,024,000
$1 million.
approximately. And so then,
$250,000
yeah, a little over $250,000.
to get started.
And then another $250,000 in 6 months. And then we would be paying monthly on each elevator as we went.
correct.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, just making sure the math works. Yeah.
Math to figure out how much we're gonna have to go for on a special assessment
Or something.
increase in maintenance fees.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get this name of the bake sale.
Everybody satisfied with
We have one last slide here, and this is just for your guys. This is not elevator related, but it will help your elevators. This is just basically your guys' elevator machine room. The door is almost always propped open because it's extremely hot in there. So what I like to tell people for their elevators to last the longest is that your controller is like your laptop computer, right? How long would your laptop computer last sitting in your car in the sun all day long versus how long would your laptop last in an air-conditioned controlled environment, right? It'll probably last twice as long. So something you guys can think about if to help the longevity of your elevators is adding AC in the future to your elevator machine rooms. That way you can create a controlled environment, all the electronics in there stay cool, and that is something that is not on the elevator side, but just to bring to your guys' attention to help your guys' elevators last a long time.
and you don't
Where are, I'm sorry, I don't
Where are the machine rooms at?
know where those rooms are.
They're at the lobby level of each building. And Steve could give you a good idea. They're, I'd say, within 30 feet of each elevator. Steve, you're muted.
Okay, when you walk in the deep building, Steve, where do I look
when
for
you
that
go
room?
down that center staircase in A and D, it's just right underneath the first floor of that center staircase, and then on B and C, it's right across the hall towards the courtyard from the elevators. So they're all right down there, close by the elevators on the first floor.
Thanks. I haven't seen that door open, I guess, but that's,
Yeah, it's kept locked all the time. Yeah, I'll show it to you the next time you come if you'd like, Richard.
you bet. Thanks. No problem.
So this idea of putting air conditioning, that's not included in this modernization, right? That's completely separate.
That's completely separate. We're an elevator company. We don't do AC. But it's just bringing this to your guys' attention. That's something that, hey, if you want to help your elevators last a long time, create a controlled environment for the electronics. That's going to give you more longevity. It's completely up to you guys. I'm just giving you
Okay.
what I've noticed in my experience.
Okay, can I ask a question about that AC? That could just simply be a split unit, probably not really big. That would just be put in. Basically, the condensers and stuff would be just right outside the building, close by where that is. And we've done that in other places. We used to have split units in the offices, and it's easily doable. And I don't think that the cost. Do you have any idea what the cost would be? I'm thinking maybe 10,000 range or something like that for each one.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I would say somewhere between, I'm gonna go $5,000 to $10,000, somewhere in there, depending on what brand you guys choose.
Yeah, okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Chris? While we've got him.
Ask questions, you guys. There's no stupid questions. That way I can help you guys understand better.
If you'll stop screen sharing, we can, everybody can make it such that you can see all the different people involved.
I wanted to say, really, thank you for setting it up. I thought maybe all the work was done 6 years ago and that we were just doing easy stuff within the cabs. And your explanation that to me, the cabs themselves should include everything almost, and that the electronics and that sort of thing is so helpful and so necessary. I can't believe that I'm hearing what I heard. I didn't expect it to be that much. I thought I was going to put a paint job on it. And you are absolutely correct from my understanding of all things that I've seen in my old age now, that the everything that you said is important. The ADA on, I don't know, multiple items in each elevator, and the problems with the doors, and stopping between floors, and phones and all the components that have to be rebuilt when you shouldn't be rebuilding it, when you still don't have a phone, and all the other ADA requirements. It just doesn't make any sense not to get this done as soon as possible. So thanks again. I want to say thanks again for Diana and Steve. I've been asking questions and can't seem to get this, and now I understand the numbers and I understand the necessity. So Chris, and I didn't get your assistant's or person's name, but you guys did a great job of preparing this. Thank you.
Kelly, she's my boss.
Okay, I won't call her assistant then, and I'll bow down to her superiority.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be a big number. It'd be not, I mean, I don't know if we can swing doing it all at once, but it'd be nice to save the $60,000 by doing that. Also, since so much stuff with like those phones, for example, with the ADA stuff, we could get the elevator shut down at any time if somebody from the state comes over. So it'd be nice to do that, but I don't know if we can, I will have to talk to the board about how we would get the money, but yeah.
Well, the gong going up and the gongs going down, and the spaces and those other things, it isn't just the phone that would shut us down.
Chris says that they could shut us down for a number of different reasons, even right now. Our elevator service provider is kind of responsible for enforcing that, and they're giving us a real break. And I think that that because we should try to acknowledge that and push for getting this done, so that we're not putting them in jeopardy along with ourselves, to get everything shut down and probably take fines and things like that. Well,
that's the other thing, is because it's going to take them 6 months to get started. Even if we made the decision right this instant, it's still 6 months. So we can't fool around.
We have time to figure out the proper financing. And I would ask Crystal, Steve, and Diana, who are on the board. I think Crystal is on the board.
Yes, Crystal is on the board. Yes.
Make sure that the board understands this. My inquiry of a couple of them, it makes it indicate to me that not only they couldn't explain it to me, but they don't understand it.
Yeah, I wish they were at this.
So if they can
Can I
watch
say
this.
something? Can I say something?
Please, Crystal.
Okay, Richard, I think this is the first time I see you in person. Nice to meet you.
Hello, I don't see you, but I'm nice to meet you too. And I think we're neighbors across the hall.
So why is the reason you're not to be able to see me?
I don't know. All I see is your name, Crystal Schmidt.
Crystal, you don't have your video on.
Huh. How do I turn my video? Because my video, I have Samsung phone And it seems like I do whatever I'm supposed to do. Is there any special button I'm supposed to do?
Well, there's a
Oh,
little
you know
button
what?
down there that says mute, and there should
Okay,
be a,
I
oh,
got
there
it.
she
I
is.
got it.
There she is.
Oh.
Hello.
Okay, okay. So are you guys be able to see me?
Now we see you.
Sorry, I was driving when the meeting started, so I lost connection for a small period of time. And I'm glad I'm in the spot now. I have really, really good connection. So I would first like to see that. Thank you, Steve and Dana. You guys are spearheading this project from day one, and you guys have been doing a really good job. I do have to say, because it's very challenging. It's a problem, as Richard mentioned, we will get assessed the $227 a month for consecutively 2 years. But back 6 years ago, I think, to address those issues by the previous board, turns out I was told that money went to Maui Plumbing for the plumbing job, which was poorly done, causing a lot of issue we will still have to address. So the elevator issue was left unresolved. And I'm so glad Steve and Diana has been taking initiative since last year, been working on this constantly. This is what I want to clarify if I remember correctly. So if I remember correctly, our June meeting was postponed to July 3rd because Diana was requesting the meeting agenda to be reviewed for 2 weeks. At that time, the board decided that we're going to keep the July meeting originally scheduled on July 16th, which made 2 meetings in July, but really one of them supposed to be in June. Then Steve actually really nicely made, to my understanding, a nice presentation to have Chris come to present this to the whole board on July 24th. But unfortunately, that must be a miscommunication. I think Steve was thinking that was the board meeting, correct, Steve?
I said that when, actually, when you guys, that was the second time, when you guys, when I sent out the first kind of notice that Chris was willing to do this presentation, I got, and I put in the email, we would like to set a date. Anybody can propose a date. It was not, there was no specific time for the meeting, and I got no response. So then I said, okay, Chris, when can you, when would be good for you? And he said that same day. I guess it was the 24th or something. So I sent out another notice and I said, Mitsubishi says the 24th would be good, but we could still figure out another time. And I got no response for that one either. So that's why we just scheduled this one on our own and invited the board to come. And thank you, Crystal, for showing up.
Okay, anyway, fantastic. Regardless, the presentation is fantastic. It's something we need to present to the board. So I know Steve and Dan is leading the project, but let me just, if I can, just from my head, I just want to do a recap for I understand. That way, everybody can be on the same page. So to my understanding, originally, ThyssenKrupp and the Mitsubishi and the one more company provide the bids. And the bids was a little bit confusing from restoration to modernization. Then one of the board member, Jean, look at the number and want to do brand new elevators, which the company try to provide. But at this point, we feel maybe the money is more reasonable with Steve and Dana presented at that time. I believe it's 2 of them for $167,000. So from the presentation today, it looks like that number need to change, the scope of work need to change, which is all good because the bottom line is we need to resolve this. We need to be laser focused. We need to move on to get on the project, okay? So what I was so glad again, Chris's presentation, fantastic. Steve and Dan has been keep working on this thing, very determined, which is excellent. We need to be laser focused. We need to get the resources together. We need to address all the issues. It is a board decision. So what I suggest is, Chris, if you could make another presentation, or just we have a board meeting, play this recording. If we have a complete recording, I think we can play this recording for this presentation in our next board meeting, which is coming up really quickly. Let's put this on agenda. We need to figure out how we're gonna pay for it, how we're gonna get we need to get a timeline going, like real going. And we need to really compare if this is the best decision. I believe so, but we need to really have everybody have a complete understanding. I know sometimes it take a few times to really get into it, but I like the idea to put the air conditioning units in those rooms right away. It's not that difficult. It shouldn't be cost that much, because even during the process of 2 years, a cold machine room is going to help with existing elevator operations. So I support all of that. I just want us to get a consensus on it, get a meeting on it. We all have the same purpose. We want to get the elevator up and running and in the best shape, aesthetically, functionally, mechanically, everything from ADA to appearance, to functionality, to guarantee of the work, to the current warranty of the work, to looking at 30 years down the road. Are we making the best decision? I'm all for it.
Great. Yeah, I mean, whatever's happened before, we are where we are right now. All we can really do, we can't change the past. All we can really do is move forward. And, you know, after all the research we've done, this appears to be the best way to do that.
I agree. And if that's the case, that's why we're all, you know, the bottom line is we're all on the same purpose. We want to get it done. We want to get the funds to get it done. We have reserves money. Even if it comes to, we have to do assessment again. You know, we just need to do whatever we need to do to keep this property up and running and in the best shape as we possible.
Yeah, the reserve money is egregiously overdrawn. If you want to give me a call, Crystal, I can explain what the problem is with that. But yeah, we've got to find the money.
Crystal, I agree with you that if the board actually understands what was in this presentation and the recording, they might have some more questions, but I don't think it's really relevant to board decisions to have further answers. We've got the numbers, we've got the necessity times, you know, infinite a number of exponents there. And so I appreciate what you said, and I appreciate your enthusiasm on this. It's something that has seemed obvious to just anybody looking at an elevator, but I didn't know it was, that it wasn't, a lot of it wasn't just appearance. So I have a lot better understanding, and if the rest of the board understands this presentation, the answers to our questions, and they might have more questions, but it should be enough for you guys to move ahead. I appreciate it.
So Richard, I just want to make it clear to you, Richard. The board has trusted Steve and Diana to solve this electrical problem, elevator problem from day one. They've been spearheading this project from day one. So this presentation need to be made to the whole board. The rest of the board, including myself, has not known this until today, right? This is a very useful discussion Steve tried to put together. It's just because both of them did not attend the last board meeting, and there's a couple of rescheduling because whatever issues, like Diana said, we move on, but they are the expert. They are the people we entrusted on the board to handle this problem. They're getting better at it. There's more clear board, more clear direction. So this presentation, my suggestion is to be either Chris presented again with everybody in person, or we play this recording to help all of us gain the better understanding as you just did. It's going to be very, very helpful. The bottom line is we need to address this, and we've been trusting Steve and Dana to take this issue the whole time, and they've been doing better job, I would say, because we getting more educated, they're getting more educated. We have a better understanding every day as we tackle these issues.
The other thing is the board did approve a while back that Mitsubishi would become our service provider for maintenance. And so Mitsubishi has been doing that. The technician that comes out, his name is Volka, and he's been doing a really, really good job from what I understand. And Chris, I think you had said that, how much time has he spent over the last month or two?
I believe Volka's been out there over the last, we started in June, July. Volka's been out there something like 82 hours over the last 2 months.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if the number of emergency calls and stuff have gone down, but I don't know that we have that information.
He texts me every time he comes, and it's been like a couple times a week. He's just been coming, and he's just been trying to put things together and fix things as best as can be fixed to prevent all those service calls that we have. But he's just working on the old equipment, and that is never going to get caught. It's never going to get put back together just from maintenance.
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
issue
he's doing the best he can do to keep those elevators just running right now.
yeah, because the last provider that we had, the one that we had to terminate the contract early, they were just coming whenever there was an emergency and not doing anything preventative and just sort of putting a bandage on the problem. Like one of that D building elevator, Richard, that doesn't work.
Yeah, yes.
Citizen Prep came out and fixed it.
The day before.
Yeah, like 12 hours before it stopped working and the guy got stuck, and it was just a big mess. And then they wanted $12,000 to undo the damage that was done when the guy got stuck in the elevator that they had fixed not 24 hours before. It's just bananas.
I got dozens of stories like that about what the previous service provider was not doing.
In
So-
2 years from now, we won't have those calls. We'll
Yes,
Get it
and
done.
I mean, we were just very, very happy to find Mitsubishi. I think you guys are more of a new entrant into the marketplace on Maui, or is that?
We have a smaller foothold in Maui, that's correct, which is to your guys' advantage right now, because that means Volca's not so busy, so he pays a lot more attention to your property.
Yeah, no, and we really appreciate it. You guys have been great, really.
Volca is so competent. He's such a conscientious worker. He really seems to care about getting our elevators straightened out.
No,
So
and
Chris,
he's
I
a,
have a question for you, Chris.
yes,
So the board has been trusting Steve and Dana. They've been really spearheading this project from day one. I do want to let you know. The board does work as a unity with the whole, every decision have to be proved by the board as a whole. So I'm sure every single other board member not here today, I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, would be thrilled to hear more explanation, more presentation from you. Do you think you are happy to make another presentation, or you just want to Steve and Dana play the recording? Because we do need all the other board members. This presentation really, I think Steve's intention originally to be presented at a board meeting, which we have done with a lot of vendors. Vendors come make a presentation to the whole board make decisions, both discussion, we move on. So what do you think is the best way for you want to make a presentation to the whole board, or you just want the Steve and Dana play the recording?
I can make another presentation to the entire board because several of the other board members might have questions that you guys didn't ask. And I don't want anyone to feel like their questions went unanswered.
Perfect. That's really good answer. So would you please maybe make an appointment with Steve and Diana? We have an August board meeting coming up soon. We need to put this on the meeting agenda. As we, agreed that things has to be on agenda to be discussed. Even though I personally think, we can discuss anything come on at the moment, but it doesn't seem that's the way. So let's get your presentation on this board meeting coming up. We need to make sure everybody's on board. And, if Steve and Diana be happy with your work, that's all I can support them for, because they are the ones who be handling the whole project. So I would say thank you. You guys doing a good job. Thank you.
So is the next board meeting on August 20th, or was that date moved? Crystal? Oh, that's not a very good time to lose Crystal.
Okay, are you, am I back? Are you there?
Yeah, August 20th, is that the next board meeting?
I need to check because I don't keep track. It's on my calendar. Need me look, but okay. Anyway, we need to check with Bronson, and whatever it's there. I haven't heard anything moved. We have been going with the original.
Okay,
date.
so we will verify it, but it should be August 20th at 2 p.m. Chris, if you're available. And meanwhile, I can make the recording available to everyone if they would like to preview. I know Jean, for example, likes to go over things in a lot of detail, so maybe she could preview it and then also be ready with her questions.
Great, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, and then there were some owners that contacted me that weren't able to be here who wanted to see it also, Yeah, I mean, this is a big ticket number. I think that the people, the stakeholders, the people whose safety is involved and who are ultimately, going to be paying for this one way or another, need to have the opportunity to be involved at least.
Exactly. I mean, this is all for the whole, that's what we're here for, is to find the best solutions.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe more owners can make it to that board meeting also, so that they would be informed of
that's
this
a-
also.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we just have the post notice, my personal take is always just do it before the 3 days. Why we was shooting for 3 days? For a week, for a month, we need everybody's participation.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
It's Jocelyn Young. I just want to say thank you to you, Diane, and to you, Steve, for putting this together, and Crystal for being here as well, and also to Mr. Webster for your expertise. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Pua, if you would just put your email, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Anybody who wants a recording, just send me your email. At .com. Yeah. Pua, if you could give me your email address in the chat, then okay, great. Then I can send it to you directly and make sure that you get it. Great.
So Diana, I just, since I lost connection for a few minutes before I was driving, so how many people total in this Zoom meeting? Just so we have an idea.
7.
8.
So it's you, Steve, Diana, me, Jocelyn, Richard, who else? Pua.
Pua and Jocelyn Young.
So it's 6 people. Is it the 8 people, including 2 Mitsubishi personnel? Or in addition?
Yeah, and the other thing is I've got 2 screens going, so I'm in here twice. So there's me and Steve, you, Jocelyn, Pua, Richard. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay. Just so I lost that portion. That's why. Okay. Thank you all.
Okay. Gosh, thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you guys very much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
And
you all very much.
Richard, I'll send you a copy of the recording also, because sometimes stuff cuts in and out.
That'd be
Okay.
good. Use the Gmail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and end the meeting now. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
All right, bye.
Woohoo, things getting
Bye.
done.